This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Another murder overnight. The National Security Minister says prepare for more police shootings. Wayne Renaud predicts more criminals will engage in conflict with police. And officials start removing people. And it's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's there. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Don Sargent will be joining us. Also this morning, we are talking about NIB. All you need to know, we've got an independent expert, and we're going to talk about all the things, debunk all the myths about the National Insurance Board this morning. That's going to extend into our Morning Blend business hour as well. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, investigations continue into the country's latest murder. It happened on Quarry Mission Road last night. We'll have the details coming up in our 8 o'clock news update. Meanwhile, Minister of National Security Wayne Renaud advising Bahamians to brace for more police-involved shootings as police beef up resources to combat increased crime. Renaud telling the Nassau Guardian, quote, "We can expect them to have more power resources, more manpower resources that will not stop people who have decided that either, one, they are going to be involved deliberately in gangs and engaged in street wars, or as we've been seeing in some of the homicides, people just don't seem to be able to control their temper and stab people over a fight or shoot people over a fight. That won't stop it. The police apprehending them won't stop it. The more resources the police have to be available on the spot may actually have the effect of you having more police-involved shootings, which the public should prepare itself for." Monroe saying the incoming commissioner has forewarned that as the police get more resources, that there will be more saturation on the streets, and as people decide to continue to drive around with firearms, there is an ability for them to get into conflict with police with the intended result. So far, the murder count in the country stands at 75, with the vast majority of murders occurring in New Providence. If murders continue at this pace, the country could exceed the record of 146 murders set in 2015. Monroe also saying that a team of officers from the Police, Defense, and Immigration Department started removing people who were living on government land. Monroe previously issued a 14-day warning to people to desist from trespassing on government land, clearing protected trees, clearing land without permission, and excavating or burning coal or breaking any of the environmental laws. He said the operation started on Saturday. Lamenting the recent spate of murders in the capital over the last few weeks, Shadow Minister of National Security Shannon Don Cartwright calling the government to act. He says they continue to see murders and gang wars escalate and that all law-abiding stakeholders in the country have a duty to act. He said the bloodshed that we're witnessing is not normal, nor is it something that we can chalk up to a situation that we hope will work itself out without additional intervention. F&M leader Michael Pintard calling on the government to reveal how much was awarded to incoming Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernander and incoming Deputy Commissioner of Police Limon Delaveau in recent settlements. The Nassau Guardian reported yesterday that the lawsuits filed in 2019 by Fernander and Delaveau after they were sent on leave. Pintard says these are not private matters. He says the government does not reserve any right to withhold that information from the public. Investigations continue into New Providence's latest traffic fatality. Two cousins killed after their black Honda Accord collided with a dump truck early Monday morning. Family members identifying the victims as 29-year-old Ashwood Roll and 28-year-old Fletcher Colby. That incident took place around 5 o'clock yesterday morning on Glaston Road near Aquinas College. According to police, a garbage truck was traveling south on Glaston Road when the black Honda, traveling also south, collided into it. The Honda received extensive damage. A 22-year-old man charged with kidnapping a man whose full name is unknown. 22-year-old Sean Butler of Sutton Street appeared before Magistrate Shaka Serville on accusations that he kidnapped Kenton, last name unknown, without his consent. This was on June 22nd. Butler was not required to enter a plea to the charge when he appeared before Serville on Monday. Butler is next scheduled to appear in court on October 5th for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. His lawyer telling the court that police laid the charges, although Kenton never made a complaint to the police. And prosecutors still don't know which magistrate will try the corruption case of Michelle Reckley, the former director of the Urban Renewal Program. Reckley is accused of defrauding the government of more than $1 million through the Urban Renewal Small Homes Repair Program in Grand Bahama and laundering the money with the assistance of Kylon Vincent, Stephanie Colley, Christopher Simonet, and James Hall between December 5th, February 24th, 2017. She was arraigned in 2019, but the trial never began. The case was first assigned to Magistrate Ambrose Armbrister. However, that trial did not take place due to the suspension of trials during the height of the COVID pandemic. Then Armbrister resigned in 2020. Consequently, the file was sent to Chief Magistrate for assignment after multiple magistrates declined to hear the matter. Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt decided to preside, but on May 16th of this year, when the trial was set to begin, the Director of Public Prosecutions asked Ferguson Pratt to step down over accusations that she had visited Reckley in the cell block at the Magistrates Court complex and prayed with her. Ferguson Pratt vehemently denied the allegations, and on May 18th, acting DPP Franklin Williams withdrew the recusal application and apologized to the magistrate. During a fixture hearing yesterday, Ferguson Pratt said two more magistrates said they would have to recuse themselves if the case was assigned. She intended to speak to another magistrate about hearing the case. A fixture hearing is now set for August 9th. Overseas, a gunman on a rooftop opened fire on an Independence Day parade in suburban Chicago, killing at least 6 people, wounding at least 30, and sending hundreds of marchers, parents with strollers, and children on bicycles fleeing in terror. Authorities say a man named as a person of interest in the shooting was taken into custody Monday evening after an hours-long manhunt in and around Highland Park, an affluent community of about 30,000 on Chicago's North Shore. The July 4th shooting was just the latest to shatter the rituals of American life, schools, churches, grocery stores, and now community parades have all become killing grounds in recent months. This time the bloodshed coming as the nation tried to find cause to celebrate its founding and the bonds that still hold it together. The shooting occurred at a spot on the parade route which had staked out prime viewing points early in the day for the annual celebration. Dozens of fired bullets sent hundreds of parade goers, some visibly bloodied, fleeing. They left a trail of abandoned items that showed everyday life suddenly disrupted. Highland Park Police Chief Lou Jogman saying a police officer pulled over Robert E. Cremo III about 5 miles north of the shooting spree several hours after police released the man's photo and an image of a silver Honda Fit and warned the public that he was likely armed and dangerous. Authorities initially said he was 22, but an FBI bulletin says he is 21. Police declined to immediately identify Cremo as a suspect, but said identifying him as a person of interest, sharing his name and other information publicly was a serious step. In sports, a tough loss for the Bahamas' men's senior basketball team. Bahamian NBA player Giovanni Buddy Hield leading the spirited effort for Team Bahamas with a game-high 29 points last night. But in the end, they were just overmatched as they fell 88-80 to the Dominican Republic. This all happened last night at Bahamar Convention Center right here in Nassau. The team can still celebrate, though, tremendous success advancing to the second round of the FIBA Americas World Cup qualifiers for the first time in history. The Bahamas finishing with a 2-4 win-loss record in Group C of the qualifiers, third behind Canada with a still perfect record of 6-0. Sixth in the Dominican Republic, 4-2. The top three teams in each group advanced to the second round, which gets underway in August. And Canada, the DR, and the Bahamas will be joined by three other nations in a new 16 round. You can read more about that in today's Guardian Sports section. And Bahamar Hoops will be making a return for a second consecutive year in November at Bahamar Convention Center. The journey started with 8 basketball teams under a different tournament name and location in 2017. This November, there will be 20 NCAA Division I basketball teams. They will play 28 games over the course of 10 days. BT Global's Vice President of International Affairs, Josh Franklin, says they want to keep growing sports tourism in the Bahamas. That's going to be November 18th through 27th. Again, read more about that in today's Guardian Sports section. And WNBA star Brittany Griner has made an appeal to U.S. President Joe Biden in a letter passed to the White House through her representatives, saying she feared she might never return home and asking that the president not forget about her and other American detainees in Russia. Griner's agent says the letter was delivered on Monday. Most of the letter's contents to President Biden remain private, though Griner shared a few lines from the handwritten note. Griner wrote, quote, "As I sit here in a Russian prison alone with my thoughts and without the protection of my wife, family, friends, Olympic jersey, or any accomplishments, I'm terrified I might be here forever." The two-time Olympic gold medalist is in the midst of a trial in Russia that began last week after she was arrested on February 17th on charges of possessing cannabis and cannabis oil while returning to play for her Russian team. The trial will resume Thursday. Fewer than 1% of defendants in Russian criminal trials are acquitted, and unlike in U.S. courts, acquittals can be overturned. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your first look at weather for today, we've had a rough morning, severe thunderstorms over portions of the northwest Bahamas, including New Providence, Bimini, Andros, Berry Islands, and the northern Exuma Keys. In fact, those islands were under a weather watch, a thunderstorm warning this morning. And you can see the results of that weather all over New Providence. Flooded streets as you make your way about today. Keep that in mind. It's all as a result of high pressure centered north of the area that will continue to support moderate to fresh winds across the islands, while rain chances elevated across portions of the northwestern islands today. Boaters should be alert for possible waterspout activity, while beachgoers should exercise caution due to the threat of rip currents along east and south coast beaches. Localized flooding possible during heavy and prolonged rainfall events. And again, you're being urged to remain hydrated and limit outdoor activities due to high heat indices. For the northwest Bahamas today, look for variable clouds with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms today through tonight. Some showers may be locally heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. Small craft should be alert for gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet. For the central and southeast Bahamas, partly sunny, hot and breezy with a chance of a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. Mostly fair and breezy with possible stray showers tonight. Caution remains in effect. Winds east to southeast at 15 to 20 knots, seas 4 to 7 feet. Temperature-wise today, look for highs getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. The heat index will be up to about 100 Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 77 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. It's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? Because we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Did you know that it's not necessary to renew your NIV Smart Card when the date on the card has expired? That's right. Renewal is not required for children ages 0 to 15 or adults ages 16 to 59 years old. Persons who may apply to renew their NIV card include seniors turning 60 years old, children turning 16 years old, persons whose cards have been lost, abandoned, first-time Bahamian and permanent resident adults. Non-Bahamians may apply and will be issued a verification letter. For more information on NIV Smart Card renewal, go to niv-bahamas.com or visit our Facebook and Instagram pages today. This message is sponsored by the National Insurance Board.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want. Hello? Can show you something else, boy? Don't you remember my name? Wow, girl. Girl, I've been so busy. You still planning a trip? Girl, I can't wait. I went online booking my car. You dare planning trip? You vaccinated? Girl, we have to. We ain't been nowhere since the pandemic started. Girl, we got a 14-day vacation. Best vacation ever. Girl, are you going? Well, I know you're going to get the vaccine because you too like travel. When you get your vaccine? Girl, long time. Because you got to get your first dose, wait, then get your second dose at least 2 weeks before you travel. Johnny get his vaccine at week 12. Even Grammy get hers. Child, and Grammy say she ain't got no money. But I see her hiding under the mattress. Child, let me send my list, because I know you going shopping. You should not play with me. Vaccinate today, late tomorrow. Message by WHO, Canada, and US Aid.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh look quality.
Wake up today. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969. Follow us, please. We're on Facebook as well, facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Follow us there and keep up with the show and find out about the guests that we're on both of those. You can also text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by DTC, 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Don Sargent's going to be joining us. We'll give you the phone numbers to call in just a bit as well. Coming up this morning, we've got lots to talk about in the news. In our 8 o'clock hour we are going to be talking with Pandora Butler. Do you remember Pandora Butler? She, I believe, is the most knowledgeable person about NIB in the world. And she's going to be talking to us. Lots of questions have been coming up. We've been hearing the discussions all over Talk Radio, all over Guardian Radio, and people asking a lot of questions. Some of our hosts getting a little annoyed at some of the questions. Today, we're going to get the answers from somebody who knows better than anybody else. I am willing to put my hand on the chopping block for that one. And that's going to be in just a few minutes, so stay tuned for that. And I want to get your questions in as well. But right now, let's get into what else is in the news. I want to let you know the flooding out there is crazy over many different parts of New Providence. Independence Drive especially pretty bad there, and it's causing delays. We'll get to more of that in the traffic report, but there are a number of areas where there is major flooding, and apparently the motorists today are out of their minds. That's the best way I can put it. Some very selfless drivers. They're all out this morning, so keep that in mind if you have to be somewhere on time. And clearly these aren't their cars, because if you own the cars, I can imagine you driving the way they're driving this morning in people's vehicles, but you've been warned. Okay. There's a lot of other stories in the news we want to get to. We won't have time to talk about much, but just then in today's National Guardian, you can pick it up and read more about it. The FNM leader, Michael Pintard, calling the government to reveal the amounts awarded to senior officers in recent settlements. That's incoming Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernander, and incoming Deputy Commissioner, Limon Delaveau. The National Guardian reported yesterday that the Office of the Attorney General settled lawsuits filed in 2019 with Fernander and Delaveau after they were sent on the previous administration, the Minutes administration. Pintard saying that these are not private matters and that the government needs to be forthcoming with this, reveal that to the public. He says they're demanding a candid public explanation by the Prime Minister in this case, especially given the sensitivity of their jobs. Our police officers, particularly the leadership of the police force, must always carry out their job free from political dictates. Well, yeah, indeed. It's nice that the FNM knows that now, but it is correct, and it would be good to know. It would be good to know. You can read more about that today. As we said earlier, there was another murder overnight. This seems to, I think we're now up to 76. Quarry Mission Road, we'll get the details for you shortly, but this is insane. It seems like there's been one or two every day for the past few days. And just as disturbing is the headline in the Nassau Guardian today, prepare for more police shootings. That's coming from National Security Minister Wayne Munro. He's predicting that more criminals will engage in conflict with the police and as a result will be shot and probably killed. Our Jasper Ward writing about it. Minister of National Security Wayne Munro yesterday advising Bahamians to brace for more police-involved shootings as police beef up resources to combat increased crime. Munro saying, quote, "We can expect them to have more manpower resources. That will not stop people who have decided that either one, they're going to be involved deliberately in gangs and engaged in street wars, or, as we've been seeing in some of the homicides, people just don't seem to be able to control their temper and stab people over a fight or shoot people over a fight. That won't stop it. The police apprehending them, being more on the spot, won't stop it. The more resources the police have to be available on the spot may actually have the effect of you having more police-involved shootings, which the public should prepare itself for." The incoming commissioner has forewarned that as the police get more resources to be more saturated on the streets, as people decide to continue to drive around with firearms, there is an ability for them to get into conflict with police with the intended result. And so we have said at this moment, as they get more resources, manpower and otherwise, the public ought to be aware that they may be that may be something that may happen. Yeah. As we said, the murder count, as of yesterday, but as of last night, likely stands at 76. The vast majority of the murders occurring in New Providence. If murders continue at this pace, the Bahamas will likely exceed the record of 146 murders set in 119 murders were recorded last year. Monroe predicted yesterday that, quote, "We will have an increase on last year." Boy. Oh, okay. He said, quote, "I was advised that the rate drops at some points this year." What this is like the production of something from a factory. We can predict, yeah. No, well, we're going to up the murder rate this year, likely. This is how we speak now? Yeah. And everybody's comfortable with that. Because it is July. I mean, we have half of the year left, but we know, yes, if we go by how things are looking, it's bad. But things could, no? Okay. So it's just me. Wow. Anyway, let's continue. He says, it drops at some points in the year. I would have to check the statisticians to see if they are projecting a record year. All things considered, oh boy. Monroe says the government will provide additional resources to police in the second half of the year in an effort to prevent a new murder record. However, he noted that those resources will likely not stop people from committing murders. Monroe says, quote, "Fundamentally, the issue of people deciding to be like this can only stop when we change the way people think. And so all the diversionary programs that were stopped over the last 4.5 years, we're moving to put them back in place to divert youth at risk away from a life of crime. Hopefully, we'll have some success in that. You see, the Urban Renewal Program is coming back in big form, and we have other civic programs putting their programs back in place, and we're supporting." Okay, as you reported, one of the bloodiest months in March with 22 murders. Boy, oh boy. All right, let's get your reaction to all of this. Don is with us now. Good morning, Don.
Morning, Dwight.
Hope you're well. It's been a while.
This is a short minute.
Okay. Good to have you. I don't prepare for more police shootings. And that's not unreasonable because we've said it here that if more people are armed, more people are likely to get shot. That is a reality. We know that is a fact. We know people are hot. This is a hot country, hot in every single way you can imagine. And you say the wrong thing to somebody and they're going to get their gun. It just is a reality. But, so that's one thing. But also to know for sure that we will beat the murder rate from last July disturbs me. We are on track and we are on the path. It is clear, but things could happen, right? Couldn't things happen? But we know for sure because this is like, the Nike factory. They know how many shoes they're going to put out. And we know for sure that we're going to beat what we did last year. We're working overtime to ensure it. This is what we do. But everybody will be, what's wrong with Dwight? He's always running on. That doesn't disturb you? Tell me if it does.
Disturb is the word I would use, Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to the pandemic, this was our reality, wasn't it?
Yeah. I still don't know
I
if
think
it's
the lockdown
something
really,
to say. I don't know if it's still something to say. We're pretty sure record for last year.
What was the record last year?
100 and something. I just read it. It was a lot. Far too much. 119.
Oh, wow. I remember when breaking 120, 130. I think one year we almost hit 150. It's not reassuring to return back to that state, obviously, as a country, and but it seems as though we're reeling back into that direction, and I don't know, Dwight. I don't have an answer for that. It's just this used to be our normal, unfortunately, and it seems like we're just, I hate to say that, going back to normal.
Yeah. Well, I don't think whether it looks like that, and it does look like that if you look at the numbers, but whether it does, we're certain we're going to break the murder rate. So what? Who are we all sitting around like, oh, I wonder who's going to be? Who's going to be next? Is it me? Is it you? Whoa. Like, what is this? Are you getting drafted for murder? This is insane. And if that doesn't upset everybody, if you don't see why that's a problem, I'm not saying Wayne Monroe is... For us to all be thinking like that, because everybody's saying it too. Oh, we're going to have more murders than last year. Yeah. This is crazy. This is something that we can prevent. This is something we don't have to do this. You don't have to do this. But everyone's just throwing up their arms. Oh, yeah, we're going to have more murders than last year. Oh, well, that's what we do. 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Again, if you think I'm crazy and that I am the one with the problem, then the number one problem, if you don't see why that's a problem, that everybody's just resolved to, yep, be good. What'd you think, 130, 140, 170? Yeah. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. What are you doing?
I'm not well.
Good morning, my good friend Dawn. Right, let me see if I can make 3 points. Right, the first one that really caught my attention this morning is how all these so-called judges recuse themselves from one case. That's wrong. And that's why many people call us stupid and homophobic. And I see why they talk us when they talk us. You can tell me now, these people swore that for the law of this country, and everybody just keep on recusing themselves. When you steal money and face for a country, and those countries in the Middle East, they hang you right away, We cannot keep running our country like this. But being ill after me, it's right, I keep telling you all things, but you don't be listening to me. Anything that happens in this country is for the behemoths, It ain't for the foreigners, Those guys or the folks that cut and broke the law and do some things. And this is what I say to you. You see, I just hope the people running and listen and watching these things. defend for all these people land and one of the payment of land. But other people can say unbreakable law. And the judges them I'm put an injunction on. Right? That's how the people watching. Dwight, the sad to say with all the murders, right? If the politicians will let the policemen do their jobs, like remember back in the late 70s, 80s, when they had all the drugs and all the gang banging. Got some good policemen on the force. Got like Big Jew, Roy Sanders and them. Butler Marty, the slap me down, the Buster Payne. These same liberal people say, oh, you can't hold nobody for 96 hours and you can't do that. Now, what things these people want to happen in this country? They want bad things to happen or good things. And so I could do with you. We could solve the problem in 1 week, you know. No problems, even 7 by 19 or more.
I don't know about that.
I mean, yes, right there. All you got to do is block off the eastern part of Bay Street, the western part of Bay Street. You must people living in the north. South, west, and southeast.
No. You want a prison state. We can't, a police state or something. No, that's not. Man. Oh, boy. Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Glenn. I'm sorry to hear that you are not well. I didn't miss that.
Because you could say, well, this is crazy. Let me run off to the States, but then I'll get shot in the street. So it's like you can't win. Canada, anyway. But yeah, what do you think is going on here?
Here's what I say. As above, so below. So what's happening in the universe is happening in our bodies. And it's happening in our lifetime. We have to destroy the free radicals in our bodies, and we use antioxidants to do that, to become donor electrons so that we could survive. And that's basically what's going on in our body, right? So I kind of like what the grounded. Now, let me give you a story about grounding. As you're familiar with, your house has to have a grounding rod going in the ground so that when the free radicals from the static electricity that comes above hits us, it doesn't inflame us and burn our house up the way they burn ourselves up. Watch this now. So I like what he's saying, and I think he's prepared to face this head on. All right? And you may know this is what's happening at the cellular level, and it's happening at this earthly level. So we have to address it, right? And I think he's doing a pretty good job in thinking ahead, and that these guys are not grounded. They are not us. The thing is this, if somebody breaks into my house, instead of shooting him like I could, I have to get out the house, because if I shoot him, his friends are coming to get me. So my best bet is to get out of the way, because I have to use my common sense. And if the minister is going to the point where he's going to take them on, man, I welcome it. And that's just the way I feel about it. These guys are free radicals. In our body, we use antioxidants to become donor electrons so that we cannot age prematurely. These fellas are trying to cause us to age prematurely. Think about it. They are
or not
radicals.
age at all, as they're trying to stop everyone from aging. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Calling is talking voice along with you on
Don. Yes, hi.
Don, Dwight. Dwight, you said that this is a hot country. In 140 years, the Fahrenheit only went up 1%. So that means the problem is that we have a bunch of bloodthirsty people around today. Okay? And if it only went up 1%, the Fahrenheit only went up, a lot of people cutting down trees all over the place. So it got to be bloodthirsty people. And I don't think the minister that's responsible for the police and defense force officers and stuff like that, I don't think he should make more killers out of the police and those. The thing is,
well, he's saying if they shoot at the police, they're going to shoot back. He's saying that if they shoot at the police, they're going to shoot back. That's what he's saying. So if you engage the police, the police will shoot back.
Okay, I see what you're saying. But the thing is, we need more people that would minister the word. Get on the street and have street service and stuff. You could meet those people and, do something within their life. But nobody are doing that. Most guys, when they are...
raise children, which isn't happening here either. This text here says, will Wayne Monroe be getting lawyer fees since I believe he represents... okay, well, that's what you're more concerned about than the other stuff. All right. This one says here, was a lot. Okay. What's going on with the USA? We have our drama in Nassau, but every week they have some type of mass shooting. Those people are going crazy. Well, for the size of our population, you could say these are mass shootings. Honestly, this is every day. Every day someone's getting killed. That's not sensible. Anyway, they go on driving in Nassau is getting past ridiculous. It looks like nobody likes law and order in this country. When I become PM, all y'all will work. Thank you for that. This text here. Sir, the only way forward is a national youth service for young men between the ages of 16 and 21. Dwight, relax. The Bible says, if you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. These bad boys killing themselves out, it will soon finish. No, it won't. It won't, because they're leaving behind other bad boys and girls who grew up angry that their bad boy daddy was snuffed out and that they have to hate the world and shoot anybody who bothers them as well. And we're seeing that. We've got third and fourth generation murder victims. It doesn't end. Not at all. No way. So continue thinking like that. Continue thinking like that. And we are seeing people, as that previous caller said, people getting hit in the crossfire, protecting themselves, and then ending up being victims. So it doesn't ever end. Not if we don't continue to raise better people, which we've abandoned, apparently. This one says here, I understand your frustration on crime, but you have to understand this is a dirty, under-the-table money country. The only thing you can do is get more security cameras, 2 German shepherds, security alarms, a high wall, and a rifle to protect yourself. It's really sad, but it's true. Yeah, okay. This person says here, Dwight, I don't think you're wrong. I think you have a point. We may be headed down a path, but the discourse about things like murder should be optimistic and not predictive. Those comments sound like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Yeah, absolutely. A horror movie. What? How could you say something like that? Yeah, we're going to have more murders. Oh, yeah. The stats, our number crunchers are working it out. Yeah, we're on track. Oh boy. Yep, a bad sci-fi movie from the 70s. One of those. Another text here. Did he announce what the police plan to do about people running red lights, turning right on red, turning left on red into oncoming traffic? All of this is disastrous. All in that disastrous left on red policy. Also, overtaking in the 3rd lane of a 4-lane thoroughfare. Yeah, I think you mean crossing that line into oncoming traffic, right? And please, no surprise, dragnets that last for hours. All they do is block up traffic for law-abiding people. A planned, coordinated, strategic action plan, enough time to produce one good idea. And it is true, cracking down on those small things will make a difference. It really will. This person says here, it's not everybody, Dwight. Direct your anger to the right people. Yeah, who are they? There are people who have made up their minds to live a life of crime. Now we need a government to implement legislation to prosecute these persons, and a government, along with stakeholders, to develop programs to help transform the lives of at-risk people. Your anger should not be directed to the general public. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think the general public is sitting back and saying, just get a German Shepherd and a big wall and a rifle and more security alarms and you'll be okay. Let the bad people kill each other off. And they're not getting frustrated by the fact that somebody is murdered in this small town every day. That's not good. That's not good. So I think the people need to get angry. And to be made to get angry. Because, that only happens when a child gets shot, and then that lasts for, 3 days? And then I need more alarms. Let's take this call, then we've got to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Thomas.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. Dwight, I am of the view that the only way to cut down the murders, right, is to replace the money-making activity that these young men choose to partake of, and that's the drug trade. You see, and then as well as only in the Bahamas, like the police should get such statements, And then what happening, what I see happen, it went from the patient was wheeling a knife. Police was in fear of their life. And without no evidence, without no case, no how all of a sudden these criminals are shooting at the police. And then if a criminal shoot at the police and he gets killed, there should be evidence of it. In the Bahamas, there's no evidence, and you see, so and see the police is the thing. The young men in the community say no, they go to jail from just the evidence of the police on minor charges, as well as the major ones. If the police want you to go, it's a system where the police and everybody involved, the lawyers, the police, they make money, and and it's they're not going to change it. And then one more thing, the minister seems like he's trying to blame the F&M for the crime, for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Yeah. You're making some really interesting points this morning. People, I honestly thought they got this message. Good friend of mine sent a message. Sorry to say, but the police shootings may be a good thing. Boy. So, and you bring an interesting point. People don't ask any questions. Well, very few questions. Some people do, but most don't and say, they got what they deserve when the police say the person produced a firearm. And it's just, everybody's quiet. But did you see what happened in Akron, Ohio there? If that happened in the Bahamas, I think there would be cheering. But the people are protesting in the streets. Traffic stop turns into chase, and the what do you call them? Anyway, the accused jumps out of the vehicle and runs, and the police say they thought he turned around to shoot at them. There was no gun, though, and he shot several times, scores, actually, and they're protesting the street. But if that had happened in Nassau, what would you do? Wouldn't even be talking about it. Very interesting. But anyway, let's take a break on that note. We've got a lot of your messages to get to. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96. We'll be right back.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Coronavirus update. I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. As millions of Americans begin to return home from their July 4th holiday, there is word that Hong Kong's new leader, John Lee, will begin trying to ease COVID restrictions for travelers. The key is to do it while balancing the risks of a COVID outbreak overwhelming the healthcare system. The AP's Charles de Ledesma.
Speaking at his first news conference, Lee says Hong Kong's an international city, and he's conscious of the need for it to remain open and convenient to travellers. The city's health minister is evaluating data to determine how the quarantine duration could be adjusted and formulate options for Lee to consider. Hong Kong and mainland China are among the few places in the world that still quarantine arrivals to reduce the spread of the virus 2.5 years into the pandemic. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
And I'm Rita Foley.
Got your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. For all of life's moments, there's one Visa Classic credit card. A reminder that the streets are very wet and flooded, major flooding in many areas. And that's going to impact your commute, especially on places like Independence Drive. Traffic is backed up because of the very, very deep flooding as you approach that roundabout with Blue Hill Road. So keep that in mind. In fact, if you can, you might want to avoid Independence Drive entirely as a result of the traffic and the flooding. As an alternate route, Soldier Road might not be it. It is busy as well between East Street and Blue Hill Road. Robinson might be better for you at this hour. Blue Hill Road is also busy just north of Soldier, heading to that roundabout with Independence Drive. Carmichael eastbound to Blue Hill, also seeing some heavy traffic. And Milo Butler Highway, just north of Fire Trail, you're going to be seeing that heavy traffic on the way to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. Gladstone Road also seeing some building traffic about midway between Fire Trail and JFK Drive. And Carmichael westbound to Coral Harbor Road, seeing building traffic there. Eastern Road, seeing some heavy traffic westbound. Again, we've got that closure on Village Road, and so we're seeing traffic backed up on Shirley Street as a result of that. And Marathon Road also busy for you, northbound, pockets along Mackey Street. And East-West Highway at the intersection of Marathon and Robinson Road. Those are your hot spots for now. We'll have another real-time report for you after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC. Experience cashless purchasing power and chip and pin security with your RBC Visa Classic credit card. Manage your day-to-day expenses and apply today at rbc.com/Caribbean/Visa Classic. And time for another check of your weather, brought to you by BTC. High pressure centered north of the area will continue to support moderate to fresh winds across the islands, while troughing will keep rain chances elevated across portions of the northwest Bahamas today. For the northwestern islands, look for variable cloudiness, hot and breezy conditions with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms today through tonight. Some showers may be locally heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. For the central and southeast Bahamas, partly sunny, hot and breezy with a chance of a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, mostly fair and breezy with possible stray showers tonight. Temperatures getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius, but the heat index will be another factor again today. Triple digits near 100 Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius, and you're being advised to remain hydrated and limit outdoor activities, especially during peak afternoon hours. Tonight, overnight lows getting down to about 77 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. In your extended outlook, a tropical wave will migrate into the southeast Bahamas by tomorrow and into the central Bahamas by Thursday, keeping rain chances elevated across those areas. Elsewhere, a high-pressure ridge north of the area will maintain gentle to fresh breezes through the remainder of the week. So, for tomorrow, Wednesday, partly cloudy to cloudy and hot with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, breezy conditions in the central and southeastern islands. Thursday, variable cloudiness and hot conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, mainly across the central and southeastern Bahamas. Breezy across the central southeastern islands as well. That's your morning blend weather check. We'll have a check of the tropics coming up after the 8 o'clock news. Morning blend weather brought to you by BTC. Are you a BTC postpaid customer? Postpaid customers get a free device when renewing any postpaid. Visit any BTC location to renew your postpaid contract and get your free device today.
Are you an attorney with a joint practice operating from one location? Accepting payments from clients doesn't have to be complicated.
Introducing RBC MultiPay. Now each attorney can securely accept and settle payments with one point-of-sale device supporting multiple bank accounts.
With competitive pricing, training, and easy setup, you will be up and running in no time.
Call 356-8500 to sign up for
RBC
MultiPay.
One thing there is no debate about is that BTC has the best rates. Now, the best rates just got better because you pay half the price of the other guys with your BTC home internet and mobile services combined. Switching to BTC is a no-brainer because I pay less with BTC and get super fast internet with speeds up to 600 megs. The other guys, their internet only go up to 105 megs.
Get all the internet you want at half the bundle of your home internet and mobile. Visit a BTC store to make the switch today. Conditions apply.
You're always on the go. We know life can be a daily rush. CIBC, First Caribbean, you can count on us. We make life easier. Manage your accounts at any time. Apply for a loan. It's easy when you bank online. We make life easier with choices that suit you. CIBC, First Caribbean.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations, Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
Breakfast just got better at Wendy's. Introducing the Breakfast Biggie Bag. Enjoy a double sausage muffin with 2 square sausage patties, a freshly cracked egg, and cheese served on a toasted English muffin, a medium waffle fries, and an orange juice for only $5.25, fat inclusive. Add an apple pie for just $1 more.
Say what?
At Wendy's, better breakfast is all day. Offers valid in participating locations. Wendy's, different inside and out.
$35,000?
What would you do with your share of $35,000?
Just spend $250 or more on any Scotiabank credit card
between March 15th and June 30th
for a chance to win your share of $35,000. The more you spend, the more chances you get to win.
There will be 3 winners of $10,000 each and 5 winners of $1,000. It's so easy to enter. Don't miss your opportunity to win.
So what would you do?
Visit bs.scotiabank.com to learn more about how you can win.
Earning 0 interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
You're always on the go. We know life can be a daily rush. CIBC, First Caribbean, you can count on us. We make life easier. Manage your accounts at any time. Apply for a loan. It's easy when you bank online. We make life easier with choices that suit you. CIBC, First Caribbean.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
All right, we're going to go to the news in just a bit, but let me read these messages really quickly. I brought up the Akron situation. Somebody says, after allegedly shooting at the police and wearing a ski mask 60 times is excessive. But what are they to do? Just let him shoot first or get away? Yeah, I'm sure. And again, that would happen here, and there'd be Not one person out there, I guarantee you. But this is what we're being told, and people are saying, yeah, well, that's what they get. They will get what they deserve if they pull a gun on the police. And yeah. There was a gun in the car, well, so the police say. And why would he not just pull over for a simple traffic stop? I agree. It doesn't make sense. Something is not quite right over there. But we do have that here, and it ends the same way. This one says here the minister. Oh, we got to go. Yeah, let's go to the news. We'll be back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook us, facebook.com/morningblend969. Text us 4224796. And now at 8:21, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. We've got high pressure centered north of the area that will continue to support moderate to fresh winds across the islands, while troughing will keep rain chances elevated across portions of the northwest Bahamas today. Boaters should be alert for waterspout activity. Beachgoers should exercise caution due to the threat of rip currents along east and south coast beaches, and localized flooding is possible during heavy and prolonged rainfall events. Everyone's being advised to remain hydrated and limit outdoor activities due to high heat indices in digits once again. Today, look for variable cloudiness, hot and breezy conditions with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the northwest Bahamas. That will continue through tonight. Showers may be locally heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. Small craft should be alert for gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. For the central and southeast Bahamas, partly sunny, hot and breezy with a chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms, mostly fair and breezy with possible stray showers tonight. Small craft caution in effect. Temperature is getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. The heat index in the triple digits, as we said, around 100 Fahrenheit, 38 Celsius. And overnight lows getting down to about 77 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. In your extended outlook, a tropical wave will migrate into the southeast Bahamas by tomorrow and then into the central islands by Thursday, keeping rain chances elevated across those areas. Elsewhere, high pressure north of the islands will maintain gentle to fresh breezes. East to southeasterly breezes through the remainder of the week. So for tomorrow, Wednesday, that's going to mean partly cloudy to cloudy and hot conditions with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Expect breezy conditions in the central islands. Small craft caution will continue for the central and southeastern islands. For Thursday, variable cloudiness and hot with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms mainly in the central and southeastern islands. Breezy conditions will continue as well. Small craft caution will remain in effect. The tropics are thankfully quiet. Tropical cyclone formation not expected through the next 5 days. That's your Morning Blend weather check brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance, still the first and only local insurance company and agency network that lets you buy car and home insurance 100% online. Try it at bahamasfirst.com. And at 8:24, time for another check of the traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. For all of life's moments, there's one Visa Classic credit card. I had a lot of headaches this morning, a lot of hotspot areas to tell you about because of a couple of issues. We've got roadworks and we've got flooding. And as a result, we've got heavy traffic. Independence Drive, very hot this morning. There is massive flooding there near the Blue Hill Road roundabout, and the traffic is backed up almost to East Street. And if you can, you will want to avoid Independence Drive. And Blue Hill Road also seeing that heavy traffic northbound to that roundabout this morning. East Street and Soldier Road, that's a congested intersection for you. In fact, traffic on East Street is pretty bad this morning from just north of Bamboo Boulevard all the way up through the intersection, all the way to the roundabout. In fact, that goes up all the way to Robinson Road, the intersection there, and beyond. Not looking good on East Street, let's just say that. Carmichael Road, eastbound, busy to Blue Hill Road. Milo Butler Highway, heavy traffic from Fire Trail all the way up to Tawny Gloom's Darling Highway. Gladstone was also busy this morning from just north of Fire Trail all the way up to JFK Drive. And in eastern New Providence, we've got East Road seeing some heavy traffic from Fox Hill all the way up to Shirley Street, as there is work going on at Village and Shirley, and that's causing some issues. In fact, you might want to avoid that area if you can. And there are going to be long delays there. That work is going on for a while. Avoid Village Road entirely, also, if you can. That intersection with Village, Soldier, and Wolf and Bernard is busy for you. And Marathon Road northbound also looking congested. Pockets along Wolf Road as well. So there are a number of hot spots this morning. And you're going to need your patience. You're going to need your patience for quite a while. That's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC. Experience cashless purchasing power and chip and pin security with your RBC Visa Classic credit card. Manage your day-to-day expenses and apply today at rbc.com/Caribbean/Visa Classic. We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Don Sargent on this Tuesday morning. We are getting a reaction to what's in the news, talking about National Security Minister Wayne Monroe warning that with more armed criminals willing to engage in shootouts with the police, you're likely to hear about more police shootings. And as you know, they usually end not well for the criminals or the accused. Yeah. And he's also saying that they predict that the murder rate will be much higher than last year. Now, that part is upsetting me quite a bit this morning because, again, it's not December 30th. It's July 5th. We've got half the year in front of us, and I don't understand how we can say that. Yeah, it doesn't look good. We've had a whole lot, and people are clearly trying to do a purge, but we can still do something, right? We still have half the year to get some things together. No? Or we just given up? Yeah. So we're getting a reaction to that, and we're also looking at how this compares to the chaos in the U.S. As well, and police-involved shootings there that get people all riled up, protests and stuff. But here, people saying that's good for them. That's good for them. All right. So this text here, the Minister of National Security's statement is further exposing the lack of creativity and how reactive our way of thinking and reacting to situations is. By saying that there will be more police-involved shootings implies that it's a notion of innocent until proven guilty is out the window. Yes, we have violent criminals, but they are the minority of the population. Waging an all-out war will affect the majority of the population, possibly the innocent, with innocent bystanders being caught in the crossfire. Mm-hmm. Yep. We're still saying they are the minority, right, Don? That right? They've not pulled even yet. We're not half and half yet. No.
What do you mean by that, Dwight?
The people, we've been saying that for a long time. It's a minority. It's a small minority of people who are. But just ask it if it hasn't pulled even yet. Because sometimes I wonder. I don't know. I think it's more than a small minority. But okay. But we're still sticking to that one. Yes? Yes. Okay. Let's see what this caller says. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. Morning, Dawn.
Hi.
Dwight, Dawn. Let's look at the statistics over the years, based upon crime and police shootings, so on and so forth. If you would realize that a lot of us out here, we use the halfway mark as a gauge to potentially what the overall number in terms of shootings is going to be at the coming to the end of the year. Right now, where are we at 76? If you look at the trends, you're going to find that at 76, and you multiply that by 2, because this is the middle of the year. It is not a far-fetched thought to believe that we won't hit twice 76. Look at last year, the figures. Look at, and if you look at the middle.
You know, Jeff, that's fine to think that, right? It is fine. But I don't know if we should be talking like that, right? These are human lives. This is not the factory's output, right? So that's crazy to do that. That's crazy. It doesn't look good. If we continue with this path, we will likely, sure. But to say we are going to beat last year's murder count, like, wow. I don't know. That's not a
Dwight. All I could do, Dwight, is say, in order for us to reverse what we see now, these trends, it has to be something very extremely radical. And if law enforcement, and in fact, what is being said now, unfortunately, to a lot of persons may seem offensive, but it's a reality. If you do something really radical, I mean, really outrageous and radical, you know, there's the other pundits out there who will denounce what is being done. So it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. But in terms of the innocent people and the persons who are not engaged in crime, actually are having in possession of weapons and doing these outlandish things out here, the unfortunate thing about that is it is us who are really affected mostly by all this stuff. So, you know, like I said, the commissioner, they got to come up with a comprehensive plan. It's going to be balanced. Not many people are going to agree with it, but they got to come up with something in order to turn the situation around. So let's see where it goes from here. But you know, going forward, it's incumbent upon all of us to try to get some things done. Thanks for taking my
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. This text here. Is this the same Monroe who spoke out about police shootings? Man, oh man, how the narrative changes when you are in charge. He's not speaking out about it, you know. He's not. He's saying, look for more to come. He's not. He's just letting you know. I get your point. I do get your point. The police-involved shootings are the result of many failed things. Instead of shining a light on the police, how about looking into what contributed to making the criminals, such as our failed public education system? We need to look at the root causes. Well, you must be new to the show. Welcome. Public education system. Yeah, that's part of it. But parenting, and also parenting, and the lack thereof. So the number one contributor to all of this. Absolutely. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
I didn't hear anybody else though.
Don is here.
Hey, morning, Don. Dwight. Yeah, but Dwight, and we was talking. I mean, every year for the last 10 years, I have the same conversation. We was having, right, every year, right. But my point is this, right. We need drastic measures for the situation and not status quo managers, right? Because, you know, we continue to have managers of this problem that's been existing in this country for over 2 or more decades. We have to see something different. We can't. It has off to trying to satisfy me with flattering words, man. It has to be more than that because we've been here long enough to know the politicians, they come with all type of creativity when it comes to trying to explain things what happening in this country, and then after they satisfy the majority of the people in the air with the flattering words, then we just go right back into the same old quagmire that we in. When we gonna see some real laws being changed in this country, and that to really cause people to start thinking, if parenting is a problem, then let's legislate some laws to cause parents to look deeper to the right to see what they are doing wrong, man. Because talking, I mean, from these politicians, right? Because, I love your talk show. Talking from these politicians, right? It only continued to convince me that we ain't moving no place in this country, right? Because we are not looking for people to govern this country. All we want is status quo managers.
Yeah. Well, previous caller said something radical needs to be done. I'm saying parenting. Maybe we could tie tax breaks, exemptions, all of those into, if you're a parent, whether, how your kid performs in school. What do you think? Maybe not just grades, but, if you didn't get any fights, if you were commended as being an exceptionally well-behaved student. What do you think? Too radical?
I don't know, like, is that the root cause of the issue?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Exemptions for, I don't mean that. I mean, like, I think there's a lot more going into the issue with the way that children in this country are raised. Sure, but it's an attempt to do something, right? I mean, not diminish the attempt to try to come up with a solution. I don't know. I don't know if it had the desired effect. We've had this conversation with different penalties, I think, for, 40 years? And we know from our neighbors up north that doesn't necessarily always address the issue the ways that you want. It surely grows your prison population, but the issue will still persist. We also know the areas that these things are happening in. So maybe, Dwight, some economic initiatives within those areas where people are most hardest hit in New Providence would have some benefit, not in the short term, maybe the long term.
This person says here, so we've got to bribe parents to parent? Yeah, seems so. Some are just throwing the kids out, letting them do whatever they want, like weeds, right? Anywhere, do what you got to do. This text, we need to build a supermax prison in the Family Islands because mixing the hardcore criminals with the minor crime people is creating more hardened criminals. All the minister is saying is that the probability of increased confrontation is likely. Some would say, the criminals are the minority, but I would say that only a little baking powder is needed to affect the whole loaf, and in this case, all of us. This person says here, Jeff is absolutely right. Murders will double. There's no urgency from this lazy, visionless government. So stop covering up, Dwight. Who are you talking to? What covered up what? What do you listen to? What's going on with you? Who are you? Are you okay? Covering up what? Okay. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Don. Alan Johnson.
Hi.
It's amazing, Dwight, that for 4 years and for the current administration advocated for freedom of information, transparency, accountability, and integrity, and anti-corruption from the previous administration. Now they're in the position of driving. If you listen to the news, Mr. Latre ramming, I think it's well over 25 questions since the term has began that the leader of Her Majesty official opposition or loyal opposition asked at least 25 questions that I've gauged has yet to be answered. What we get instead is delay, deny, and deflect. Like, for instance, the question concerning acts of the Prime Minister, Mr. Latrell Raming, simply goes on and says, we need to know what happened with the police. Well, the Prime Minister is in Parliament, in the Cabinet, and whatever information is there is available. So I think instead of deflecting, we need the answer. When you look at crime, Dwight, if you use the predictive analytics that was expressed on your show, we are exactly where we said it will be, going back from right around pre-Dorian, pre-COVID. Now, if you take into effect that crime is, poverty is increased exponentially, it's only proportionately that crime has an impact on it. And as it stands right now, I could only assume I'm on Grand Bahama that you must have a bucket sale at the various hardware stores on New Providence. And the reason I say that is because the government seems to be buying more buckets for this leaking roof as opposed to fixing the roof. The government has the responsibility for legislation, policies, and programs. And if the government is bankrupt of those things, I think it's important to do as the previous administration, as when they were in previous administration, they demanded, go to the polls. Simply come in, simply say, we have found tasks that somehow seem to exceed our ability, and we think we should go back to the people for another mandate as to see if they can choose from amongst them people who are capable of doing it. If not, we would ask them to bring the ideas for economic empowerment, bring what is necessary to show where the economy is going, communicate these, show that we have the ability to provide the resources to the police. Just ending it right. Think about this. The police chief simply said that they're not going to give us the police cameras. I think he was on the news a few days ago. You remember that?
I do.
Right. So you talk about transparency and accountability and integrity and freedom of information. And the linguistic gymnastics spin that I got on that statement is preposterous. The purpose of the police cameras is to show that the police are doing what is they're supposed to according to law. Can you imagine that the national security officer says we can anticipate killing, extrajudicial killings, almost on the verge of that we'll do more killings, but we will not provide you any information to authenticate and verify should this person do this or this person do whatever.
Yeah.
Everywhere around the world, that's when they use police cameras is for the public to be able to know. And I think it's time for us to stop pretending to be a country, stop pretending to be a government, and actually come up and engage the public and provide ideas, provide strategies, whatever, to build a country forward. We are 50 years old next year, and here we are doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. Yep, very good point raised there. Hopefully the listener will have a different stance on this, but we definitely need to have access to body cam and dash-mounted cams and all of them, especially in situations like this. Absolutely. We're going to take one final call, and then we take a break. Yeah. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
That's me, Dwight.
Yes, you're on the air.
Good morning to you, and good morning to my boy on the next line. Let's get his name.
Don.
Dwight, something when I hear what was said, reported in the newspaper, and on the radio this morning, what you read this morning, I say it sounded like the Minister of National Security, knowing that he was a former, one of the best lawyers we get, who defend criminals, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Everyone deserves that to have the best to defend them. It sounds like he's not a clarion call or shout across the bow or nothing like that, but it sounds like he letting his former potential clients know that, look here, hey, they did order some stuff for a long time, but in the power, if you're all ready to engage with them, there's a possibility that, it'll be a lot of more dead bodies. Dwight? Hello?
I'm listening.
Yeah. So I was trying to flip out in this country. I don't understand what is going on. It sounds like the director of prosecution either is questioning or asking. I think you read it this morning on the news, finding out why the chief magistrate visits someone in the jail. I think it's Ms. Bradley. And, we know no one is above the law, but what you think about that?
She denied that, and
do you know if she
had to apologize?
Do you know if she'll be the next Chief Justice? Do you know if she'll be the next Chief Justice?
I have no idea.
Keep up the good work.
I don't know why you brought that up. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but they had to apologize for that, as she denied that. Okay. Let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to be talking about National Insurance Board. People have so many questions about it, how it's supposed to work and what it's doing and if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. We've got an independent expert who's going to be talking about it and answering all of our questions, hopefully. Pandora Butler is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Always in my way, getting on my case. He follow me to breakfast, take me to lunch, get fired from Tribune. Now he wait for the punch. Now I must admit, he was a little cute, but that ain't give him no reason to go look at my way they suit. You done all up in my business. Now what you gonna do? Acting like statue, like you can't move. You done gone this deep, might as well get proof. Hey, all up in my business, boy. Now what you gonna do?
When faced with an illness like cancer, we band together. And we at Cleveland Clinic in Florida have your back. From advanced cancer treatments to extra safety measures at all of our locations, we're with you on this journey. For every infusion and follow-up, for every step of the way, for every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic in Florida. Get the care you need when and where you need it. To learn more or connect with a local representative, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
Are you an attorney with a joint practice operating from one location? Accepting payments from clients doesn't have to be complicated.
Introducing RBC MultiPay. Now each attorney can securely accept and settle payments with one point-of-sale device supporting multiple bank accounts.
With competitive pricing, training, and easy setup, you will be up and running in no time.
Call 356-8500 to sign up for
RBC
MultiPay.
Create memories and experience moments with the love of your life that will last a lifetime right in our backyard. Escape the hustle and bustle of Nassau with your special someone from Islands Getaway. You can get lost in the magic of an island sunrise or count the stars in the night sky. In the Family Islands, disconnect from the world and reconnect with the one that means the most. Now is the perfect time with our 2 fly-free Bahamas Residence special. Go to bahamasresidence.com for more info.
When faced with an illness like cancer, we band together. And we at Cleveland Clinic in Florida have your back. From advanced cancer treatments to extra safety measures at all of our locations, we're with you on this journey. For every infusion and follow-up, for every step of the way, for every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic in Florida. Get the care you need when and where you need it. To learn more or connect with a local representative, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
The Cotton Tree on Bernard Road has a deal for you, animal lovers. We are the sole distributor of the affordable super canned dog and cat food. Mothers, we also distribute Bumble Pampers, the most inexpensive in the Bahamas, plus wipes, powdered and liquid detergents, disinfectants, and the delicious Max Fly energy drink. The Cotton Tree Convenience Store on Bernard Road, Fox Hill, open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Call us at 364-6249 or 805-5679 for more information.
I used to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment, plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Doctors Hospital's Pharmacy introduces a new spin on prescriptions called Pick Up Now, Pay Later. That's right, you can collect your medications first and pay after. How does it work? Step 1, submit a prescription online. Step 2, select the pickup site. Step 3, collect your medication. And Step 4, pay online within 14 days. For more info, call us at 242-302-4785 or visit us at doctorshosp.com.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976. Catch Janae's annual 20% off back-to-school sale going on this week only. Get 20% off on all school items in stock. Yes, 20% off all school items. Shirts, jumpers, skirts, boys' long and short pants, school neckties, PE shorts in a variety of colors, colorful backpacks and lunch bags, character towels, raincoats, and umbrellas. Shop early and don't miss out on this. Janae's Chesapeake Road's annual 20% off back-to-school sale going on this week only. The best quality school garments at low, low prices. Beat the rush and save. Janae's 20% off annual back-to-school sale going on now. Restrictions apply. At Western Union, we have different sending options for you to use the one that fits you best. You can send money directly to bank accounts around the world, or for cash pickup by visiting our agent locations. Or you can also start your money transfer in our app and then pay cash in store. Look for an agent location near you, or download our app and send money to your loved ones abroad.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're doing a sculling now. Making it straight, boys. Get on the back of the car. Pick up the drum. Do some sculling. Break it straight.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Don Sargent. And it's been a hot topic over the past few weeks, especially with more doom and gloom about the future of the fund. We're talking about national insurance and the National Insurance Board. And this morning, to clear up some of the misconceptions, to debunk some of the myths, we've decided to bring in an expert, an independent expert, who is going to answer a lot of our questions here this morning. Very pleased to welcome back to the show. It's been a while. Pandora Butler. Pandora Butler, thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Don. It is my pleasure to be back here again.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how you could talk about being retired from NIB. You look like 38, 39 or something.
Go on.
But retired. But you were the voice of NIB for so many years, and just miss you and miss hearing your reassuring words whenever we had questions. But we hope you can add some clarity to what's been said over the past few weeks.
Oh, yeah, that would be my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So you know, we've been hearing that for a long time, that if we don't do something, the fund will collapse within a period of time.
Yes.
That's been I started in this field.
Yes.
It's been more than 20 years.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Why people don't understand what leads to those conclusions, that if we don't do something now, this will happen.
Thank you so much, Dwight, for that question. People have short memories, apparently. And when I say people, I'm just talking about everybody across the board. I'm talking about governments as well. Mm-hmm. They have short memories. When national insurance started in 1973, 1974. 1973 was when the paper was presented in 72, They started the actuarial review. They came to the research. Then they presented to the government of the Bahamas a white paper, on the establishment of Social Security. And they said from day one that Social Security program will have a defined lifespan.
Wow.
Back then, it was 25 years. People at NIB used to call it, we would reach the period of equilibrium. And that was set to be
ominous sounding.
To be in 1999. And all that meant was, if we do absolutely nothing, we keep the rules we have, keep the benefits we have, by 1999, 25 years, we will reach a period where everything we have coming in as contributions will be going out as benefits. And that was established, we all knew it, and so the admonition then from day one is that we ought to do continuous fixes to the Social Security program. You had to continually fix it, and nothing happened. I'm telling you, Dwight, not much happened over the years. to fix it. And then you started to see these headlines. And let me just say, we did such a good job. And I say we, I wasn't here in the early days, but I now associate myself, even though I'm retired, I associate myself with NIB. So please forgive me if I drift into the weeds and that us,
We
all right?
understand.
But they did such a good job of administering the security program that we were able to push back the 25-year period of equilibrium. We did really well. However, before long, you started to see these screaming headlines, huge headlines that said NIB going broke. But of course, there was the fine print under it. It said, if it does nothing.
Right.
So if we do nothing, and there was a pessimistic scenario, an optimistic scenario, a middle of the road scenario that lists dates like 2029 and 2032 if you did nothing. All right? And so not much was done until 2010. The 2010 amendments, which saw 22 amendments in 2010. And this was to address some of the issues identified in the seventh actuarial review of national insurance. And let me say, the reviews have always said the same thing. Some things have to be done, and it even went so far as to make recommendations for what is to be done. Because remember now, the actuarial review uses the projections, the demographic shifts. It uses actual benefit experience, investment experience to inform the changes that it would recommend, and that's what it continued to do every 5 years. But not until 2010 was some stuff done. I mean, along the years, there were amendments made, but those amendments really had to do with continuing or keeping the relevance of the Social Security program to workers, the relevance to workers.
Right.
And so I heard someone on a talk show last week, I think it was, who said how NIB has been increasing the ceiling every 2 years, so don't act like they ain't been getting money, but they misunderstand what's been happening. What NIB has done a good job of, and when I say NIB government in respect of the Social Security program, they've done an excellent job of maintaining relevance to workers, and that's what the ceiling increases have to do with. That's what those whole 10 amendments in 2006 to the maternity benefit program, all of those had to be maintaining relevance. It made it much better. Remember, even in the 2010 amendments, some things happened where the spouses could now get a piece of the survivors and keep their benefit. All of those things maintained relevance. What was lacking, what was missing, was a stronger push towards sustainability and strengthening of the fund. Of the 22 amendments, there were some. The accrual rate, and we could explain that a little later. The accrual rate was adjusted. The age at which you get the benefit was never touched. What else happened was it took longer, and that's the accrual rate for you to get a benefit, where it used to be 35, a full retirement, where it used to be at 35 years of working. It was changed to 40 years of working. So some of these things helped, but did not go far enough. And you know why it didn't go far enough? Because it was anticipated that we would continue to make fixes. No fix was ever made. And so in a pay-as-you-go system, such as national insurance has, and before people get all excited, it's not uncommon to Social Security programs. Social Security programs around the world reach this point. America's was supposed to reach the same point in 1999. Of course, we were only 25 years. They were far many more years than us. Other countries in Europe, they've reached it as well, but they understand they need to make continuous fixes, because nothing, I tell you absolutely nothing, costs the same today that it cost in 1974.
We know that.
National insurance has never, and people out there are going to be looking at me side-eye and say this woman lost her head since she retired, but the fact of the matter is national insurance has never increased contributions. An increase of the ceiling is not an increase of contributions.
Yeah, we need to define this because that keeps coming up.
Yes.
Let's break for news headlines. When we come back, we'll get to that contributions, ceilings, and all those things. What
Yes.
exactly happened in 2010, and what needs to happen, and get into this discussion as to whether this is a tax as well. People are having a lot of talk about that, but we're going to have all of that out with Pandora Butler. She's here with us. We're going to continue this in Morning Blend Business in just a bit. Stay with us, folks. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
I don't want to live nowhere else, even when I dead. I's a Bahamian, and I always late. If you want me there by 9, better tell me come 8. See, I's a Bahamian, and I don't like say nobody gonna spend my money when I go to my grave. Yes, I's a Bahamian, don't wanna make no fuss, but if you we know, but outside tell it, you we one of us. Like Andrews grab and go, don't act like you don't know, you know. And you know. Oh, how a Bahamian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Oh, don't you know? And you know. Yes. And you know. How a Bahamian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Let's go. So proud to be Bahamian. Yes. Man, no work like you ain't know. How a Bahamian go now. Watch this. See, I's a Bahamian. I lead. But when my side lose, I say they cheat. See, I's a Bahamian, and I like the Vince. I like the Lakers too, but only when they win. I's a
This
Bahamian.
is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
We're back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9 on this Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Don had to leave us, but I'm talking with Pandora Butler. She's our independent expert on NIB this morning, the former chief manager in the office of the director of NIB. I still cannot process the fact that she is retired. But I'm very glad that she's talking with us this morning. All right. So before the break, you mentioned it, and people are mixing these up. Contributions, ceilings, and what we saw in 2010 and what we see every few years. Mm-hmm. And people thinking, well, you all are going up on stuff.
Right.
So let's explain all of that to us.
Okay, good. I'm glad to do it. In 1974, when national insurance started, the ceiling was 110. What a ceiling means is you pay contributions on your actual wages limited by a ceiling. So anywhere in the early days from $1 to $110, that's all you could cover. Mm-hmm. And that ceiling remained the same for 10 whole years. Mm-hmm. Even though salaries would have gone up, people will deny it, but salaries went up. And if it didn't go up and the ceiling increased, you didn't pay anymore. Let's just get that out there. Mm-hmm. Okay? So the ceiling was increased for the first time in 1985. The 1984 amendments provided for an increase in 1985. Mm-hmm. It went up to $250, but everybody recognized that in 1985 there were people making more than $250. Mm-hmm. And then it went up again in 1999. Look at that leap again. Mm-hmm. We're talking about 15 years. And so Social Security never wanted these large gaps between doing these things. All right? And so the actuary at the time, Derek Osborne, with whom I worked very closely, his recommendation had always been to make incremental increases to the ceiling so as to maintain relevance to workers. What do I mean by relevance to workers? Imagine then a person who routinely takes home $1,000, but he's only able to cover, because that's what the ceiling speaks to. You could only cover $400 in 99, $400 of that $1,000. So when you get sick, you only get 60% of $400, which is, my math ain't that good, 60 times 4, $240, when you would ordinarily take home $1,000. So you
Big
mad.
difference.
You
Yep.
mad at NIB.
Yep.
Because what I could do with this little bit of money. And so consider somebody, when it was 110 and then when it was 250, the ceilings had to be increased. And so thank God in 2010, among those amendments was we would have ceiling increases. We will start immediately with 500 in 2011. 2012 will go to 600, and then every 2 years you'd have the biennial increases. Now, is that bringing money into the fund? On the face of it, you may think so, but think of it. A person who's now paying on 600 is now getting a benefit on 600. Person who's paying on 700, a person who's today paying on 740, just changed to 740 this month, a person who's now paying on 740 is getting a percentage of 740. So it's maintaining relevance to him, but it's not really bringing in any money because you're proportionately getting that money back.
Right.
And we'd already said that the contributions you pay, that 9.8% for employed persons, shared of course, and there's 8.8% for self-employed persons, we've established years ago that that's not sufficient to fund the benefits you potentially get. We've already established that.
Right.
So when I say this, the contributions have never been increased, I'm not talking about ceilings. I'm talking about the rate at which contributions are paid. And that rate started out as 8.8% in 1974. And then some smart person out there is going to say, wait a minute, I thought she said the contributions never increased. Now she's saying it was 8.8%. Now it's 9.8%. She can't do math, but absolutely I can. It became 9.8% in 2010 when NIB added a new benefit. So that package that cost 8.8% in 1974 still costs 8.8% today.
So it's not right to look at that as a contribution increase.
It's not a contribution increase. It's like going to Kentucky or one of the food places and buying a 2-piece snack and that costs $8. And then next week you decide, you know what, that wasn't enough food for me, so I come back today, I want a 3-piece. And the lady tell you, okay, that's $11. You say, no. I just paid $8 for this. How come it's now 11? And that lady has to say to you, but you got an extra piece of meat. So if you want a 2-piece, we could give you a 2-piece. It still costs $8. You understand? So that's what happened in national insurance. You got an extra piece of meat for that 1%. And so you're still paying the absolute same. And we've established from 74 going forward, this will not be sufficient to fund the benefits. And I said it, and somebody took a little issue with my saying nothing costs the same. But that person obviously does not understand what national insurance provides. Insurance provides medical care. Just think of medical care. If you broke your leg and had to put in a splint in 74, do you think today that splint costs the same? But you're paying the same amount to national insurance. And national insurance in respect of industrial injury, workplace injuries, right, pays your medical bills.
Right.
Just think of that alone. If you don't think of retirement or survivors or maternity, just think of that alone.
Yep.
Millions go out. Millions go out.
And the population is totally different from what it was in 1974.
Absolutely.
And we seem to have a sicker population than we did.
Absolutely. People are living longer, and many of them, you're right, living sick. So you have people who come in, even though they're still alive, who come in and they're chronic claimers. Not because they're defrauding the Social Security program, but because they're legitimately sick. It does not pay. National insurance is not ahead. And there are people who think, oh, all that money you get. Seriously, if you see the math. And let me tell you, in fact, that whenever I went out, wherever I go, invariably, 99.9% of the people by the time I was done, not just espousing my views, but showing them, 99.9% of them would say, oh, no, you all need to change. You all need to go up. And I'm cheered by that. People today who say you don't need to go up, out to lunch. They are clueless. They have no idea how Social Security works. Not just in the Bahamas, Social Security around the world. I have had the privilege of touching Social Security around the world. Been a part of CARICOM, going to these things. I've done the research on, most recently I've done research on about 6 of them for Jamaica, and they have no clue how Social Security works.
All right, so when people hear this, they will often bring up some things that are not directly related to the fund and benefits. So bring
Right.
up the fact that the money that government invests in and uses this to borrow against to buy properties and all these mismanagement. And you mentioned it, fraud as well, and people who are not contributing and not paying their employee contributions, all these employer contributions. Let's talk about that and the impact that's having and whether it is fair to bring up the real estate issue.
Well, you could bring up the real estate issue, but bring it up with knowledge. Know what we're talking about. Listen to me. National Insurance collects contributions. Those contributions fund the benefits and the assistance, and we could talk about that because the assistance is a mandate that NIB was given in 1974. That was a mandate. They repealed the Old Age Pension Act and gave NIB responsibility for administering not just old age pension, but invalidity assistance, survivors assistance. So that's a mandate. So that's what we've been given to do. So the contributions you pay fund the benefits. The surplus from those contributions for 48 years, and in most recent years, there have been no surpluses. Since 2016, no surplus. But the surpluses in the early years were great. And so the surpluses formed a part of NIB's investment portfolio. Because if you have money just sitting there, you're losing money. And the economists will tell you this. If your money is sitting in central bank or wherever it's sitting, gaining no interest, you're losing money. And so national insurance, the fund has to be invested so as to meet the future needs of workers. And a very important part of NIB's investment portfolio is those same things people are complaining about.
Right.
Government investments. We build buildings for government, but that's an investment. It used to be, I don't know if it still is, 15-year lease agreements, 1 3/4 above prime, those kinds of things that it used to be. And so we know that the government of the Bahamas is a safe investment. It may not be lucrative, but national insurance has 3 considerations when you're talking about investments, and people need to hear this. You need liquidity, you need safety, and you need yield. Because you're the Social Security, the pension holders of this country, safety is a prime issue. Safety. You can't do a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Those are the people who had people's pensions and it went belly up. Remember that? So you have to have the people's money in safe investments. So government may not be the highest yielding, but it's the safest. Liquidity speaks to the fact that I can put my hand on it when I need it fairly quickly. All right? And then, of course, yield, very important. However, the more yield, the more risk. So that can be a prime objective. So government has proven very beneficial to the National Insurance Fund over the years, very. And that's why the fund is now, the reserve fund is still healthy. And it's because of those surpluses, it's because of those investments. But we know that investment dollars have declined around the world.
Right.
We know that for a fact. NIB is not exempt, or national insurance is not exempt from the vagaries of the economy, the global economy. It's not. And so these things will happen, ebb and flow.
Yeah. So selling off the investments would only buy you some time, I guess.
Well, if we were to get to the point, if you're talking about the reserve, now you have to tap into the reserve, then you get the low-hanging fruit, and you get those. And I think that would have happened during COVID in order to help fund that for COVID. So that would have happened. But that's how Social Security programs work. And so when national insurance invests with government, you get it back. Those are government guaranteed investments. And so as long as there's a Bahamas, as long as there's a government of the Bahamas, that's going to come back. Here's the big problem with Social Security, the pensions. That's it. You could talk about you unemployment and maternity and sickness, and we pay those. But the lion's share goes to pensions. And consider people are dying at 100. A person who dies at 100, if he was getting retirement, could have conceivably been getting it for 35 years. It was never intended. It was supposed to incrementally change. And so that discussion about changing it from 65 to 67 is a legitimate discussion. That's not a lazy way out. Yes, the retirement. That's not lazy. That's a legitimate discussion. I would not like to see it changed in a single bound. From 65 to 67, I don't know of any Social Security program that makes such a giant leap. In America, I think they go by a month. Every couple of years, they go a month more. So incremental, but here's the problem, and I said it already, from 74, we knew this day was coming, or these days were going to come. So when my daughter's a doctor, and she'll tell you, I spoke to her yesterday about how the gangrenous limbs work. So when you have diabetes and your big toe is gangrene, the doctor will cut that off now. Because if we don't cut it off now, it's going to spread to them other toes. And if you don't cut it off, then it's going to spread upwards on the leg. So I suppose we've let it go gangrenous so long that we're going to need to make drastic steps. But again, nothing has overtaken Social Security but such as is common, I'm quoting scripture now, such as is common to Social Security programs around the world. That's it.
All right, so you said a lot. I want to get back to some of these things. Okay, so what is the rate that was recommended, that is being recommended the last time you heard? What would be the best? I'm just reaching for the files now.
I actually have it on my...
Okay. What would be the optimal, the best one to serve us?
Well, there's no one answer to that, because in addition to a rate change, a number of things have to be done in tandem. You can't just expect that one fix will fix the whole program. A lot of things that need to be done. And before I go to that, there was some talk about government subsidy. If I understand what the Office of the Prime Minister was saying in that last Friday's Guardian, if I understand what they were saying, and he seemed to have said that government has made some disbursements, given some money to NIB. I don't know. Again, I'm not there, so I wouldn't know. But I'm not certain if he's talking about government is paying back NIB for the unemployment assistance during COVID. I don't know if that's what he's talking about. But that's a good idea. I'm not talking about that you owe us, so that's not anything you've given.
Right.
You're just paying it back. I don't know if that's what he was talking about, but here's the thing. National Insurance was given responsibility for the pensions, this assistance pensions. I said that already. In 2011, prior to 2011, the government of the Bahamas used to give a grant from the Consolidated Fund to NIB to subsidize the benefits, but to subsidize the assistance program, because governments recognize, all of us should recognize, that it's not the Social Security program's job to give assistance to your citizens, It's the government's job to do that. And so government has been giving varying sums. Started out as $1 million, and it was $2 million, and then it went down, and then it went up to like $5 million a year, subsidizing the assistance program. In 2011, made possible by the 2010 budget projection, they stopped giving NIB any subsidy. And the rationale by the then Prime Minister, who was also minister responsible for NIB, was that all of them old people you all take on in 74, they done dead. So anybody you took on since then, it's your responsibility.
And they've been contributing. Or supposed
No, they weren't contributing. You took them on. However, that was kind of short-sighted, because they took them on because you as government, whoever was government, told them to take it on. You gave them that mandate. Should not have stopped there. When you stopped giving NIB money to help pay your citizens and assistance, you should have simply taken that assistance program away and give it to who? Oh, I don't know, maybe social services? Because right now social services gives assistance and NIB gives assistance. And so it seems to be a duplication of resources and effort to me. So if it were me, and I will tell you the people back at NIB in the old days, I don't know what's going on now, they were clamoring for government to take that away from NIB because it was creating issues for NIB. How do you force this woman in the straw shop to pay her contributions and the next one refuses to pay, knowing full well that if they wait it out, they could get old enough or sick enough and get an assistance from the same NIB who you ducking and dodging? See, that was an issue. That was an issue.
Oh, boy.
And so a number of things have to happen in tandem. And they talked about increasing the age. You just asked about that. That has to happen. I wouldn't like to see it happen in one single bound. Then look at the early retirement. You could claim early retirement from as early as 60. A number almost, I hate to say the majority, I've not done any real statistics on this, but many people are taking it at 60.
Yeah.
They're
that
saying,
creates challenges. What does that
absolutely.
do?
Explain to us what pension. This is the same pension. We're talking about people living longer. So if a person lives to 70, he could conceivably get it for 5 years. But if they have the option to take it from 60, that stretches it to 10 years you're getting it. And most people are opting to take it early. Somebody said to me, a friend of mine said, I'm sure I can live to 65. I would increase the age at which you can first claim early pension. From 60 to about 62 or 63. Because you're still, unless you're sick. Now, if you're sick, you're talking about invalidity. But retirement, you could still work up to 65. You could still work conceivably. You could still work.
70.
So you won't feel it as much
right.
at 60 as you feel it at 65. Because 65, you've been working for like 40-something years. My God, it's kind of time. So there's a number of fixes that could be done, that could be had at the same time. Even with the short-term benefits, there's a lot of things that could be done, even with the short-term benefits.
Yeah.
But Derek Osborne had been saying for years, and I hope I don't misquote Derek, he was projecting up to 17%, and he wasn't saying 17% is where we're going, between 15 and 17. That's not what he was saying. He was saying the actual cost of the benefits you get from national insurance is anywhere from 15 to 17%.
Wow.
Where back then, we were charging only 8.8% for something that should cost 15 to 17%, something like that. The projection now is higher.
Oh.
The projection now is higher. Now, you see me kind of dodging actually saying what it is because it's not public yet.
Right.
It's not public yet. I just happen to have it because
But you kind of know. But
I kind of know.
But no less than 15 to 17%.
No less. And not
we are
tomorrow.
now 9.8.
But we're not
That's a big
talking
leap.
about we're not talking about a leap. We're talking about a
Gradual.
exactly.
Okay.
And that's what is supposed to happen, should have happened. But it needs to happen sooner rather than later. Don't wait till the whole leg has turned black and needs to be cut off.
Well, I'm sure you've heard it, Pandora Butler. People are saying this is a tax. This is a tax. I'm not paying more taxes. This is not fair. Inflation, gas, all these things are up. Why are we talking about this now?
Right.
And what do you say when you hear people?
First of all, Social Security is not a tax. Now, I know the
But
pundits.
if you don't pay it, you get in trouble, right? I mean,
the economic, the economists, the pundits will say it's a tax. And I suppose to all intents and purposes, there are elements of tax that are similar to Social Security contributions, which are in essence premiums. Like commercial insurance, you pay premiums. Just like my kitty cat, my cute little cat back home has elements of a lion. But if you meet a lion in the jungle, for God's sake, don't think you could cuddle up to it like you'd cuddle up to my cat. So there are elements in common, but it's not a tax. Taxes are mandatory payments on your income, on road uses, and all those kinds of things that are used to fund government services. That's what a tax is. A contribution to national insurance secures for you your benefits. It's like a premium I paid my house insurance last week. That's not a tax. That's me securing my house in case something happens to my house.
Right.
Your contributions to national insurance secures or covers your ability to get up in the morning or whenever you get up and go to work. And when something happens to impede or prevent you getting up and going to work, then your contributions are there to kick in to give you a benefit. That's what it is. It's not a tax. Not in the sense that people think of tax.
Right.
All right? You are assessed and you say you if you don't pay it, you get in trouble. You should get in trouble, and you should get in trouble more than you get in trouble now, because in other countries, they could put lien on your houses. Okay? They could cause you to become homeless because it's that important. Why is it that important? It's like the police giving a ticket to a person riding a motorbike without a helmet. He's not doing it because he gets a kick from doing it. And national insurance is not doing it because they get a kick, because they know it's in your best interest. Because down the road, these same people who duck and dodge are going to come to national. I assure you, I've seen it. I've been there 29 years. I've seen people who look shame when you say, so how come you didn't pay? They look shame, but here they are now. They're too old to work, too sick to work, and so what you gonna do? National insurance has a mandate to help you. And so that's what your contributions do for you. It gives you dignity when you need it most. It gives you a benefit when you need it most. In all my years, 29 years of national insurance, I have yet to see one person who say at the end of their work life, y'all keep that return needed. I heard there was one. No, I seriously heard there was one on one island, but that was a whole, not a bunch of issues. He used to work the NIB, but there were some issues there.
Okay. I thought you were going to say it was life or key.
No. No.
Wasn't there? Oh, no.
If they don't pay their contributions,
they're getting it back.
They're going to be first to come collect their
well,
benefits.
Boy. All right. So we see all the phone lines lit up, and we got a lot of text messages. We'll get to those in a bit. But let's go back to retirement age. Raising this.
Yes.
What are the pros and the cons of this? Other than you talked about the early retirement, how much that's impacting, but you don't think this is going to be very helpful if we increase it to 67?
Oh, it would be very helpful.
Okay.
But it would be very drastic because NIB is a sacred promise. National insurance, sorry, I keep sounding like I'm confusing the organization and the Social Security program. Social Security is a sacred promise. And the promise that was made to me and to you and everybody now is that if you work for a certain number of years and you reach age 65, you are entitled to full benefit. That's the sacred promise that was made.
Yeah.
That is the promise on which I based my future plan and my financial planning. And let me just say, Dwight, I have not claimed my Social Security benefit yet.
No? Because
I don't want a drastically reduced benefit.
Okay.
I would be getting, if I had claimed it when I retired, I would have been getting 65%. That for me is unconscionable.
Okay.
It's understandable for the Social Security program, but for me, it's too great a loss. And so I say, I have determined I'm going to wait till 65. And in the meantime, in the waiting, I'm paying still as a voluntarily insured person. Because at 65, I want a full benefit. And that's what I am planning towards. Now, if we say, let's move it up to 65, so now I get 7 years to wait, and there's a gap between 60 and 67, and to compound it, my former employer, National Insurance Board, mandatorily sent me home from that establishment at 60.
Oh, wow.
And there are other agencies that do the same.
Wouldn't that have to change?
There you go.
Yeah.
But that's not a national insurance issue. That's a NIB board as your employer. That's a BEC as the employer. Those people who do that, because there is now a gap. A gap in my coverage, a gap in my Social Security, my safety net has a hole. All right? And so...
So you think people who propose this haven't thought about all that? It doesn't seem like they have.
I'm pretty certain they haven't.
Oh, boy.
Because this is something that needs to be fixed. The people who administer Social Security, that's all used to be us, all of them, who administer Social Security. It's Social Security that says you can't get a full benefit till you turn 65. I sent home at 60. It's a problem.
Wow.
And that nobody sees that as a little less than sensible, then I'm sorry about that. But yes, there needs to be fixes, and it needs to be incremental.
Yeah.
Again, I say, I would not like to see a single bound from 65 to 67. And of course, when that happens, they're going to have to grandfather some people in. They have to say those who were working or have so many contributions will still be go to 65, but the ones coming in new will be 66. There's some things that have to happen. Actuarially, you can't just pull things out of the air. And that actuary who proposed that, and that's an actuarial proposal, that came from the ILO. And so they're able to sit and work that out. Barbados had a referendum, actually. And they asked them several years on their retirement age.
Wow.
And they said to them, we're going to have to do some things. We could either reduce your benefits from NIS, or we could age at which you get it and do some other things. And you know what they decided? Let's increase the age. Because they understand the monumental importance of Social Security, and they're willing to make that sacrifice. Right. And I am certain, Dwight, that Bahamians are as well. Once it's transparent, once it's rational and logical, and for God's sake, let me know what you're doing. Yeah. Somebody at NIB, people are saying, come talk to us. Yeah. Let us know what's going on.
Come talk to us, folks.
Come talk to us.
We're not hearing from you all.
We're full. We can understand once you lay out the facts for us. And the facts are Social Security needs to be fixed. And listen, Social Security needs to be fixed by Social Security. There are mechanisms in place to ensure the sustainability, the viability of this fund. It doesn't need, how do we quickly move to bail out? Why are we bailing out Social Security and we've not done what we're supposed to do?
Wow.
Why are we bailing it out? And that does not engender confidence. The confidence I have, and I've always shared, is that Social Security, we just need to make sure it's in place, it's strong to work. Do the things that need to be done. And stop, what do people say? Kicking the can down the road.
Wow.
And if you talk about government bailout, that's kicking the can down the road. People need to pay for what they're getting.
Wow.
Simple.
All right, so we need to take a break. But so that deadline, that time when we're going to fall off a cliff seemed to be really close. I think it was 30?
2029, 2030, 3032. There have been varying numbers.
Within 10 years.
Yes.
And
that's nothing.
From what you said earlier, we can deduce that the contribution rate should be
higher,
around 20%. Well, but you didn't say. But I'm just saying that's what it sounded like.
It needs to go up.
But from 9 to that's a lot. And if we need to make gradual adjustments, that's going to be what, a percentage every year? Is that what we're looking at here? How will this work?
Perhaps that's what I saw. I saw a proposal for a certain amount. It could be every year, every 2 years, whatever the case is. Let me tell you, I mentioned Jamaica. I just came back from Jamaica because I'm working with the ILO, which the government of Jamaica. And Jamaica, in addition to national insurance, they have so many different payments, payment to this, payment to that. The Bahamas is a joke on 9.8%. And just even consider America. What we pay is a joke because you're paying that 9.8 to NIB to cover you industrial, unemployment, all the other benefits. In America, every one of them is different and you pay separately. You pay for Social Security and you ain't getting no benefit, no sickness, no maternity from there. You even ain't getting workman's compensation from Social Security. Workman's compensation is its own act, its own payment, administered separately. Unemployment, administered separately. You pay separately for that. All right? But national insurance combines them all, and that's perhaps why we're spoiled. All right? Because we're paying all of that, and it looks like so much. We're paying to this one entity when people are paying far more, but spread out to different entities.
Yeah. Wow. And we keep talking about a real pension fund, and that will be even more if it is administered through NIB.
Well, a real pension fund, I think when they talk about a real pension fund, they talk about for employers because national insurance is already the pension fund for workers.
Yeah.
It's the pension workers in solidarity with everybody else. Everybody's putting into this fund so that everybody or whoever qualifies can get it out at the end of the day or whenever they need it. Right. So we have a pension fund, but there are people for whom, and I don't know anybody, certainly not for me. My Social Security pension could never be enough to take care of me.
Yeah.
And so that's why you need a workplace pension. Thank God for mine, because I'm getting mine.
Yeah.
So you need those. And then you need your savings and you need your investments. So you need all of these to make your end of work lifetime comfortable. For whatever reason, your work life ends.
Yeah.
And some people's work lives could end in their 20s, 30s, 40s. Don't have to be 60s or 70s, you see? So all of these things, all of those are necessary.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the impact that employers not paying for the contribution for their employees, what that's doing to the fund. And we'll take these calls and text messages a whole lot here. We may have to do this weekly. I don't know. We're going to do this, Pandora Butler, our independent expert on national insurance. Let's see, make that a full-time title for you. What do you think? This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio. Stay with us.
At Western Union, we have different sending options for you to use the one that fits you best. You can send money directly to bank accounts around the world, or for cash pickup by visiting our agent locations. Or you can also start your money transfer in our app and then pay cash in store. Look for an agent location near you, or download our app and send money to your loved ones abroad.
Beulah gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood.
We not in charge, so we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too?
Of course we can.
But we could be in deep trouble if they find out.
We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami.
So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles.
Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal.
So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
The Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center is here to help small businesses throughout the entire Bahamas. To better serve you, we've made it easier to contact us. Call 461-7232, WhatsApp 359-064 359-2394, email helpdesk@spdcbahamas.com, or submit a ticket when you visit our help center at accessaccelerator.org. The Access Accelerator, empowering small business.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
The Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center is here to help small businesses throughout the entire Bahamas. To better serve you, we've made it easier to contact us. Call 461-7232, WhatsApp 359-0626 or 359-2394, email helpdesk@spdcbahamas.com, or submit a ticket when you visit our help center at Access Accelerator. The Access Accelerator, empowering small business.
Fidelity, we're good for you. We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
It is time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. After a robust pickup during the month of April, cruise arrivals slowed in May. According to the most recent data from the Ministry of Tourism, the 16% drop comes after April's record arrivals, which saw the most visitor arrivals to the Bahamas in a single month. Between January and May, the Bahamas welcomed more than 1.7 million cruise visitors. According to the tourism tracking firm Tourism Analytics, according to the Ministry of Tourism, the Bahamas saw the volume of cruise visitor arrivals decline by 16.1% in May, falling from 431,409 cruise visitors in April to 361,837 cruise visitors. And the country received over 1 million cruise passengers during the first 5 months of 2022, when there were no cruise ship calls in the first 5 months of 2021. This comes ahead of Disney Cruise Line's newest ship, the Disney Wish's maiden voyage, which is set to sail from Port Canaveral, offering 3- and 4-night cruises to Nassau and Castaway Cay, Disney Cruise Line's private island, beginning July 14th. The government has begun the legwork to upgrade the Bahamas' building code, with several upcoming construction sector stakeholders meeting for every discipline scheduled. That's according to the Bahamas Society of Engineers President Devon Edgecombe. Minister of Works and Utilities Alfred Sayers said during a press conference held in May that the government was looking at changing the country's building code to deal with the pressures that climate change will put on the built environment. Charging that it's time for action, Prime Minister Philip Davis telling CARICOM heads of government that more than $40 billion would be needed to strengthen the region's defenses against climate change and natural disasters. Addressing the CARICOM 43rd regular heads of government meeting in Suriname, Davis said that while every country in the world faces severe and extreme weather events, the countries in the Caribbean region face extraordinary and immediate risks. And engineers, architects, and contractors continue to wait for their meeting with Works and Utilities officials on the way forward for third-party contractors to carry out building inspections for the ministry. Professional architect Marcus Lang telling Guardian Business that while the idea was pitched to the government about 5 years ago, there's not been a real move to allow private sector professionals to act as building inspectors. Works Minister Alfred Sayers revealed in May that legislative changes are being considered that would allow the ministry to use third-party inspectors to go into developments to ensure that all the country's building codes have been adhered to. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Monday, your market movers, Bank of the Bahamas moving 1,200 shares, closing unchanged at $2.51. CIBC First Caribbean Bank moving 300, unchanged at $16. Commonwealth Brewery moving 100, closing unchanged at $9. J.S. Johnson moving 300, unchanged at $15.50. Consolidated Water unchanged at $2.90. Emera Incorporated on $11.46. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 2,588.57, unchanged. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. We're back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan. I'm talking with Pandora Butler. She is our independent expert on national insurance in the country, former chief manager in the Office of the Director at NIB. and for many years the voice of National Insurance. And we're glad that she's with us this morning, making sense of it all. Okay, so we want to get to some of these calls and text messages, but before we do, the employers, that's been a challenge, getting them to make the contributions. People are saying that my money is deducted every month, but when I go to claim, you've got nothing for me. Is that as big a problem as it has been in the past, or what were you seeing before you left?
It continues to be a problem. Compliance continues to be a problem, but it was improving. The compliance picture was improving. Now, you asked the question, is it deleterious to the fund?
Yes.
It is in good measure. There's an impact, not that great an impact, but here's where the impact come. Remember now, the Social Security program's mandate is not to amass a reserve fund. It's not to amass good monies and collect monies, even though that's necessary to do what we're supposed to do. Here's the mandate of Social Security, to ensure that every worker of this country, when he cannot work, any longer work, he has a benefit to fall back on.
Okay.
And so when the employers fail to pay those contributions, NIB is stymied in its mission to that worker.
Because you still have to provide the benefits.
And even if you don't provide the benefits, I'm saying we would have failed. And so they impact whether we're successful or not, because there are times when we may not be able to provide it. What do I mean? If a person is working, and so contributions are proven to be payable, so you've given NIB proof that you worked with ABC Widget Company and they didn't pay your contributions, NIB will credit you with those contributions and go ahead and pay the benefit and right here. Many employers cannot be found and they never pay. And so that impacts the fund. You can see how that impacts the fund, right? But then there are people who worked who at the end of the day cannot prove they weren't paid with checks, they weren't paid with direct deposit where they could prove it. They didn't even have salary notification slips. So they reach the end of their work lives. It's just their word. And sometimes you go to that employer, they say, what? You never worked for me. I've heard it. I've seen it all. Right? And so that person has no benefit to look forward to. And so what does that mean? NIB has not been able to fulfill its mandate on the part of for that person. That's why we exist. The overarching reason that Social Security exists in this country is to ensure that workers have that safety net.
Yeah.
And so that's most important.
Wow. All right. So, and we started this a few years back where employees can go and check online.
Oh, many years. It's always been there, but it was less formal. An employee, the National Insurance Act and regulations always gave the employee the right to inquire of his employer if they were paying contributions, and you could come and check. And then it was formalized in about 2005, 2006 with the contribution statements, remember?
Right.
And we did all these commercials. I was in PR then. We did all these commercials. We had the banners on the side of the road, check your contributions to make sure they're paid. And then in 2014, 2015, they made the RSS, Registered Self-Serve Portal, where you could go in, sit down from wherever you are, and check to make sure your contributions are paid. So NIB has been giving workers the opportunity, all right, to ensure that, not to ensure that they're paid, but to know whether or not they're paid. And if they're not paid, to contact NIB, and then NIB will work it out. And even if NIB is not able to work it out with the employer, we have a record that you were working there, so you will not be disenfranchised because of that employer's failure to pay. All right? So a worker could help as well. Even though it's NIB's responsibility to run them down, NIB don't always know that you're working there. They may go there. ABC Widget Company has on their books 50 people, but they may have 70 working.
Wow.
NIB doesn't know that until you come in and say, listen, I don't see my contributions being paid. So it's a partnership.
Yeah.
It's always been a partnership.
All right. So in the last few weeks, one of the main complaints has been, well, you all aren't doing well. They all are doing enough to go after these guys, these owners. So what do you say to that?
You're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't, right? I remember back in 2008, 2009, when NIB was gung-ho. You remember? Gung-ho on pursuing people who weren't complying. Gung-ho to the point where the Guardian joined with NIB and splashing their pictures and their names across the front page. Remember that?
Wow, yeah.
And so NIB was very vigorous in pursuing them in law. But I will tell you, I guess there's been diminished enthusiasm in that regard. They're still pursuing them. They're still taking them to court, and NIB generally wins. But I don't know if they're as vigorous as they could be. And then you always have political. I'm not talking about government. I'm not talking about the government. And it could be the government as well. I don't know. But you always have people who will say, no, we shouldn't be naming and shaming anybody.
That's
we
my
should
friend.
give them we should give them a chance. And this needs to be your last resort. And so there are a number of things that come into play. And that's why I reference it's a partnership. So the staff, the workers, need to be actively involved. Don't wait until you're too old to work. And then you will come and say, I used to work with Mr. Whoever 20 years ago. It's kind of late then.
Wow. Do you recommend people keep their pay slips if it shows that you've been, other than checking the RSS and checking those things? But does that help? If it
Keep your pay
shows,
slip. If you go to NIB, first of all, the first thing to do is go and see what your contributions are. And if your contributions aren't what they should be, then the pay slip, absolutely take that in and say, see, and then NIB will have to put your contributions in escrow, which means they were payable, though not paid. And then it's NIB's job, not yours, to run down the employer.
Yeah.
But definitely you have to have some proof. You can't just take your word for it.
Wow. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get your calls in. I know you missed a few of them. Call us back. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, and text us 422-4796. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Mr. Strachan, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
Beautiful. And Miss Butler, how are you, ma'am?
Wonderful, thank God.
Beautiful. Mr. Strachan, I am so happy that you clarified. I am trying to figure my question is if Miss Butler is representing the government of the Bahamas on national insurance.
No. She's here as an independent expert.
I'm happy that you verified that because I really need to speak with somebody who is there present at NIB because I have many complaints.
Good luck.
Against NIB. Number one, you spoke about Miss Butler. I heard her mention about the government. She doesn't want to shame anybody and you shouldn't call names, right?
But
do you know
what
the
she's saying
government
exactly.
is the biggest lawbreaker?
That's not what she said. That's not what she said.
She didn't say she didn't want to shame anybody?
No.
What did she say?
We're giving examples.
Okay, let me continue.
Okay.
I want to get to this quick.
Okay.
The government of the Bahamas is the biggest law breaker. You would have been working for government even as a teenager, during summer periods and all. And do you know not one of the contributions is there? And if you go and complain to NIB, they brush it off as, oh, I don't know what happened.
No, stop it right there.
You
Stop.
would have filed many complaints.
Let her respond. Okay.
So you have many. Let's take them one at a time. What you just said is not. That's not a law. That's not a breaking of the law by government. If you worked as a summer student, and I'm sorry, whoever you spoke to at NIB could not explain it to you, but that's an easy explanation. When you work as a summer student, no contributions were taken out of your pay packet, none, because it's not required to be taken out. There's actually a provision in the law for summer students, and it explains what a summer student is. Your employer, the government, would have paid 2% on your behalf. So in case something happened to you while you were on their premises or doing their work, you would have been covered. But no contribution paid as a summer student would help you to get any benefit. So that's not breaking the law. And you said the government is the biggest lawbreaker. That's not been my experience. In fact, government has been one of the better employers. One of the better. That's my experience. Yeah. But go on.
Private sector is something else, eh?
Yeah. Government has been one of the better. She's done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take this call really quickly. Then I want to get to these messages. Good morning, caller. You are on the air. Are you there?
Morning to your most eloquent guest. The only thing I can say, I really enjoyed this program this morning, but my recommendation would be that if NIB in its wisdom retain Ms. Butler as an advisor in that capacity because she's made the information so easy for ordinary Bahamian to understand what was being discussed over the last 2 to 3 weeks. This would be my recommendation because she explained everything in depth and the reason why certain things need to happen. So my advice is for to the present government to retain her service as an advisor so that she can come from time to time and update the Bahamian public as what they need to know about NIB and what the actuary is saying and what was done since that, after you might have had some kind of increase.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, that would be a great idea. She is a national treasure. Definitely. I don't know how it's not happened. But anyway, this is a very interesting text here. National insurance is primarily beneficial to the employee. Why is it that the employer has to pay the larger percentage of the contribution? Regarding the option of increasing contributions to assist in the shortfall, shouldn't more be placed on the employee? Maybe a 50-50 employer-employee share of the contribution.
Okay,
We've been
question.
hearing that quite a bit, actually.
Great question. And that's because they don't understand the contributions breakdown. And you will remember I referenced in America and other countries where workman's compensation is a separate part from NIS. Well, workman's compensation is a part of Social Security in the Bahamas, national insurance. And workman's compensation is, as the name suggests, compensation for your worker, which further suggests that it is the responsibility of the employer. And so the employer pays more than the employee because the employer is paying that 2% for industrial coverage for his workers. It's his liability. So if something happens to your employee on the job, they don't have to go sue you. They don't have to go to their insurance. In fact, the insurance would tell them, go to national insurance first, because it's understood that national insurance is the liability holder for workers of this country, and employers pay for that liability.
Yeah. Getting a lot of text messages, people still saying, no, they think the fund is mismanaged. Fund is mismanaged.
Well, let me just say, even if the fund were, I want people to hear this, even if the fund were perfectly managed, we would still be at the point where we are. It may not be as drastic, it may not be as urgent, but we'd still be here because we should have been making the fixes along the way. And if you're saying that was mismanagement, then I could get on board with that, because it should have been done along the way.
Yeah.
Don't think we could have cruised for 48 years on the same things from 1974. We could not.
Yeah.
Nobody can.
This population, again, has grown so much.
Demographic shifts and claim experience, a lot of things go into this.
Yeah. This really quickly, we have to go. There are many people who contributed to NIB but died before receiving any benefits, any pension with no surviving spouse or dependents. With their contributions offset the pensioners who live past the life expectancy age.
Oh, absolutely. You remember Social Security has prime provision, and that's solidarity. I don't know if you call it a provision, but solidarity is a big part of all Social Security programs. Solidarity simply means everybody puts in so that whoever is around, needs it, can get it. And so for every person who dies before getting it, you get 10, 100 who don't die before getting it.
Yeah.
So yes, it does offset it.
Most of the text messages are saying that we need to have you on regularly. If the government won't have you, we want you here on Morning Blend and Morning Blend. And someone says, I've opened Pandora's box. Your wisdom is immense. Pandora Butler, thank you so much for being here this morning. We definitely do have to have this more regularly. Hope you are open to that.
I'm open to it.
And again, I'm serious. You are a national treasure. You are a hero, and we appreciate you. You really did break down a lot of things very simply today that we're waiting to hear more from.
Yes.
From those folks.
It's been my pleasure being here. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. I don't want my brain turning to mush, but as I told you earlier, ILO, I'm consulting with the ILO for the government of Jamaica currently. So I'm still in the game.
Still working.
Still in the game, yes.
Thank you so much. And hopefully, again, we'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me.
And happy
It's been
independence.
my pleasure.
Enjoy.
Same to you.
That's it for Morning Blend Business today. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, have a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
Wake up, it's a new day.